live. What up, people? It's your boy, the host with the most. I do not brag or boast, and I'm coming to you guys live from coast to coast. It's your boy, Chris the Don One. Welcome to my live stream. Let me see if y'all can hear me. Yes, y'all can hear me. Y'all can hear me. Rate, comment, subscribe, share this with a friend, family, as well as a follower. Let's get this channel lit in the YouTube algorithm. Based on the true story, I hope you guys are thoroughly entertained and are enjoying these story times, these live stream story times. I done put it all into a segment. It's called Based on a True Story Podcast. It's a playlist. Go check it out at your leisure. You dig? Okay? So without further ado, let's talk about, I'm not going to spend too much long on this live, maybe about 10, 15 minutes, maybe tops. So we're about to get into it, okay? We're already a minute gone, okay? So I'm going to tell you guys about my luck with cars. Owning cars, renting cars, paying for cars. Man, my luck ain't too good with cars. Okay. I don't know if I have bad luck or I just don't know how to take care of a car. Okay. But before we get into that portion of the story, I first like to state this for the record. Like during my high school years, well, junior high, no, mainly my high school years, um, I used to use my dad's car. Okay. Uh, Particularly when I was in the 11th or 12th grade, I used my dad's car, and he had a pretty reliable car, and he would always let me use it long as I keep the gas tank where it was at. If the gas tank was full, I need to bring it back to him full. As long as I don't dirty up the car, as long as I don't have no usual suspects in the car, I respect, his wishes and respect his car. Life was good, but I always wanted to get my own car. So midway through my senior year, I started taking interest at this car that I found. It was like it was in the yard, it's in some old person's yard. Okay, nice little old school car. Nothing fancy about it, but it could get me to point A to point B. I told you guys the story of this car on one of my live streams. It's the same car, had really low miles on it. Guy basically only used the car, back and forth, to, get shopping or anything like that. This guy is like pretty wealthy. So, he mainly used the car for that purpose. Okay. He didn't take the car on no long trips or anything. So it was a pretty good, reliable car. Nothing fancy about the car, but it was a pretty reliable car. Okay. So thanks for the thumbs up. Thanks for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. I don't know who's that in the building, but if your face is in the place, type your name in the building so I can say what's up to you personally. Okay. So I feel like with my dad and and this car that I found in the yard, I think I was doing pretty good picking good reliable cars. All right. So I purchased that car for a steal. It wasn't really expensive, but it got me to point A to point B. And I had that car when um when I graduated from high school. I took a year off of schooling. When I went to college, I even had that car. So at this time when I was going to college, I had to get me a 9 to 5. And I had a pretty reliable job at my 9 to 5. But it was always a part of my mind that, hey man, I want to upgrade from this car. Now I want a car that, you know, I would see in videos or in movies. I wanted one of those type cars. Okay, one of them dream type cars. I thought I could afford it. And at that time, when you young, dumb, and full of what, you don't know the inner workings on financing, credit rating, how much you have to put down, how much money you literally have to make to afford the car note. So I didn't know all the technical difficulties as far as getting my dream car, but I was learning as I was going along through the process. Come to find out, I didn't make the type of money to get the car of my dream. I'm gonna tell y'all the car of my dreams was a Ford Mustang. Okay, I would see them Ford Mustangs everywhere, music videos, movies, whatever. I, I would give my left nut pause for a Ford Mustang. I was able to drive test one, and I'm 6'4". If you've been in a Mustang before, Mustangs are not really known for space. Okay, if you have a family, you cannot take care of your family in a Ford Mustang. It's not a lot of space in there. Okay, I'm 6'4". I'm barely squeezing into the Ford Mustang, but hey, I would, go through all that just to even have the Ford Mustang. So, hey, how you doing, Kiwi? How you doing? How you doing? Okay, welcome to the live. All right. So, yeah, I can remember it was Donaldson Thompson Ford dealership. They had a Mustang. It was on the showroom floor. The salesman took it off the showroom floor for me to test drive. I test drive that mug. Then I thought the mug was mine. When we went through the process, the financing and things of that nature, come to find out, I couldn't afford the car note. Also, I want to tell y'all this: when they do a credit check on you, your credit score goes down. How many times people look into your credit score? So be careful, be wise. Don't let just anybody check your credit score because it dings you on your score. Your score, it affects your score. Once again, I didn't understand all that until I went through the process. When you make a lot of mistakes, you learn from your mistakes. That's what they always say. Correct? Correct? Okay. So, couldn't get the Ford Mustang. So, I went to one of my friends and he was telling me about this place. I think it was called Beeman Pontiac. And it was way out there on Gallatin Road. All right. And he told me he got financed there. He put a down payment on and told me how much he made. It was a decent car. It wasn't the dream car, but he said, hey, look, it's a reliable car. It's going to have a warranty on it. You don't really need your first car to be your dream car. So he talked me sort of out of it. Okay. So I said, cool. So he drove me down to um, Beeman Pontiac, okay, in Gallatin. Went there. Obviously, I'm looking at all of the fancy cars because all the fancy cars are at front of the dealership. And my friend was telling me, hey, look, man, don't pay attention to these cars, okay? Don't pay attention to these cars. You already know. Don't fall in the same trap. You know you can't be able. You know you can't. You don't have the money. You're not at the state to get those type of cars, okay? Pretty much. So he hooked me up to one of the car salesmen. Car salesman hooked him up with a car, and he found the perfect car for me. It was an old compact car. It was red. It was 4 doors, I believe. It was a real old compact car. But the dealership, the salesman was telling me, "Hey, look, this is a reliable car. You can save on gas. This car can grow with you. This car can last a pretty long time. Plus it's affordable. It fits under your pay scale, and I can get you finance for this. Okay." Now he said, "Hey, look, you can either go. I know I can get you in this car, so you can either take my word for it, or we can just end it with a handshake, and you continue to go out car shopping." But he said, "But I'm telling you, I'm warning you, you're not gonna find a better deal than what I'm offering with this car." Okay, I think the car was a Le Mans. It was like one of those Euro cars. Okay, so I said, okay, cool, bet. Wasn't the ideal car that I was expecting. It wasn't even my dream car, okay? And let me tell y'all something, folks. I had that car for my 20s. During my whole 20s, I had that car. I done had that car for like 10 years plus, 10 years going strong, all right? Took care of the car, made sure it got oil change, put the right gas in it, tune-ups, tires, the whole 9 yards. And one thing I like about this car was affordable. Okay. Two, the upkeep, the maintenance on this car was not that bad. I like the maintenance on this car. Okay, so I had this car for like my whole 20s. All right, I just I paid the monthly. I paid every month on time. Eventually, it was a 6-year loan. I got it paid off in 5. So for the next 5 years, I didn't have to worry about paying a car note. All I had to do was worry about paying the car insurance, the maintaining of the car and the gas of the car. Okay, car it wasn't a car that you want to hook up and put rims on it or put tents on it. It was just a simple car to get you to A and B. All right, so I'm 27 now. No, I take that lie back. I'm 30. Like I'm somewhere in my 30s. I said to myself, hey, look, if I don't get the car of my dreams now, then I'm never going to get the car of my dreams. I'm going to be stuck like Chuck with this Euro car for the rest of my life. Okay. So I went to a dealership, another Ford dealership. I forgot the name of it. It was on Charlotte, something like that. I forgot the name of it. Town and Country, whatever. I forgot. It was a Ford dealership. So, they said, "What you?" I had money down, and I was willing to trade in my first car. Hindsight being 2020, if I had to do that all over again, I would just try to get off with putting the down payment on my car and keep my first car. Because now I have options. I can have the car that I already paid for plus the car that my new car. You know, if I had to do it all over again, I would not include my first car. But I did. I included my first car plus a down payment, and they hopped me into a Maxima, a Nissan Maxima. Man, this thing was loaded, okay? Loaded from the ceiling to the floor, okay? Electric everything, doors, windows, um, heated seats. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Had a V8 in it, okay? The car was phenomenal, okay? It was man, I'm telling you, it was a baddies magnet. Women love this car. Have stereo system, everything. Everything was perfect with this car, okay? I was thinking to myself, look at the opportunities I'm going to be into when they see me in this car. It was like a dark gray, had tint already. Man, that car, leather seats. I mean, it was phenomenal. Okay. I said, yeah, this is the car for me. All right. So the dealership said, hey, look, all you got, I already know I can get you financing to this car. He said, the on the best end, you probably want to pay like $250 a month. The worst end, you're possibly gonna have to pay maybe 5. Okay. I'm going like, okay, I'm in. So he goes into the financing office. Man, let me tell y'all something. And here's another tip that I'm gonna tell y'all. These car dealerships, they don't care about you, man. They already got their mind made up. They already know how much you're gonna pay before they even tell you how much you're gonna have to pay finance-wise. So they already know right out the gate when they trying to talk to you, when they trying to long stroke you, pause. They already know the fix is in. The fix is in, folks. All right. I didn't know that, but now I know that. Okay. I wish I would have knew that sooner. Okay. But anyway, it is what it is. You learn from your mistakes, right? So I went in there. I mean, he comes out. He said, good news is I got you financed. Okay. All right. Cool. Cool. Good news. Oh, man, I got some. Oh, man, I'm sorry about these messages. I'm so sorry. Man, what is this message? Hold up. Let me check out these messages real fast, real quick. Okay. Kiwi says hi. Kurt says, what's up? If y'all still in the building, I apologize, man. I was so busy into this story. I do apologize. Okay. So anyway, he said, yeah, good news is I got you financed. Okay, cool. But the bad news is the amount of money you have to pay a month for this car then went up. I said, well, how much? He said, you're going to be paying like $600 a month. I said $600. I started processing it. $600. Look, I'm gonna be real with y'all. $600 really ain't a lot of money, but think about it. $600 on a car. Initially you down with it. Initially you down with it, but you only thinking about it from the short play. I'm down with it. I got a reliable car. This car is going to attract a lot of females. I can't wait to take this car to A, B, and C. You're thinking about short term. Long term, you're not even thinking about, how long is this fine? How long you have to pay $600 plus, or, you got $600 now. You got $600 6 months from now. What about a year from now? What about 2 years from now? So you pretty much locked in to, you know, how you make your money. Okay, so you can't really take no chances and risk. Like if you think about, working someplace else, you got to factor in, okay, how much this place is going to pay me. Plus, look, I got this $600 car note. I could barely afford it at my old place. So at this new job, I better afford it. Okay, you dig what I'm saying? So you don't, think of all that stuff. You always, when you're looking at a purchase, you're thinking short term. You don't never think long term. Okay. Anywho, what does a guy at my age do? I took it, thinking that, hey, it's no big deal. It's a little bit more. The car note is a little bit higher than what I expected, but I can afford it. I probably gonna have to rob Peter to pay Paul. That type of motive. Okay. Started paying on this car note. All right. And life was good for like a year and a half. Had no, I always paid on time. I had no issues with the note, any of that spit. Okay. So a year and a half goes by. I got this car locked down. All right. And I even added rims to this car. Which if you paying for a car and it's not yours, you just paying every month for the car, I'm gonna give y'all word of advice. Do not put tint on a car or rims on the car. Do not put nothing on the car that you don't mind not being without. Okay, which comes to the next part of this story. Life was good for like a year and a half. You ever slip up? It happens to me. It was a month. I said about 2 or 3 months. I wasn't really interested in working overtime. I wasn't even really necessarily interested in working 40 hours because, life got a little busy. Okay. Well, my life got very busy. You know, you don't think about how your life would be a year from now or 2 years from now. Okay. Now you got to factor in this car note. And then it goes to the part of, you know, being responsible, being financially responsible, being an adult, making adult decisions. I was thinking from the perspective of, I'm still a young adult. When you're in your 30s, you got to be a little bit more mature. I was not mature when I was 30. I was still running the streets when I was 30. I was still coming from one apartment to another apartment, when it comes to dealing with women and things of that nature. So I had a lick of responsibility and a lick of maturity that was in me. Okay. So I'm thinking, hey, look, if I slip a month, if I slip a couple of months, I'm thinking of it as, look, I done paid this car note for a year and a half. They will understand. Okay. So this is where I learned the term repossession. Okay. I have never been in a repo situation. I don't even know what repossession is. Okay. I think I've seen it being demonstrated in the hood. You be like, you walking to school, you see a wrecker pull up and pick up somebody's car and take off real fast. I probably have witnessed that a thing or two, but I didn't know that was part of a repossession. Okay. So you keep getting these notices like, okay, you past due. You're like 30 days past due. you're 2 months past due. And then they factoring in, well, you've been past due for like 6 months, So I'm thinking to myself, as long as I'm putting something on the car note, I still get to keep the car, right? Right? Wrong. Okay. So I remember like it was yesterday. Coming out of the house, hop in my car, I'm driving to work. I'm feeling good about it. And look, I'm still feeling good about this car. I keep this car clean. I keep this car washed and waxed. The rims are sparkling. Man, I got this car looking in pristine condition. You dig what I'm saying? So I'm pulling up to the job. You know, I want people to notice my car. So I park in the front of the parking lot where when you come out the building, the first thing you're going to see is my car. I make sure I find a parking space that's closer to the job, okay, to the building. All right. I pull up. I hop out the car. I got my hop out the car walk. I got my superstar walk like I'm a star. I own this place, whatever. So I'm stunting. So I'm walking into the building, all right? As I'm walking into the building, before I can even put 1 foot in the building, I see this record. This record pulls up fast, bags up fast, put that little thing in there in front of my car and scoop my car up right in front of me. What made it even more embarrassing, that my co-workers were standing outside. Okay, they witnessed this. They could testify to this. All right. So record pulls off with my car, and everybody's going, "Hey, what's going on, Chris? Isn't that your car? You know that's my car. You see my car you see me come out of that car for a year and a half. You just saw me come out of this car. All right. Is that your car?" And I'm going like, yeah, that's my car. And then I made up I had to lie in a hurry. I thought this was a good lie. Later on, I found out this was a terrible lie. I told him, "Oh yeah, I'm getting my car worked on, so the service center told me to park it up front so the wrecker can find it and he can be able to pick my car up and get my car fixed." I'm thinking I'm telling a smooth lie, but everybody and their mama knew that was a repossession. Okay, that was the first time I witnessed a repossession. Okay, it's sad, man, super sad, man. So I, immediately, I went to work, did my 8 hours, got off from work. Now I gotta walk home. All right. So I'm walking home, right, and I'm calling the dealership, the financing company, and I told them what happened, and I told them, I said, yeah, I gave y'all a partial payment. And this is when I found out, when you do partial payments, you got to let them know that you're doing a partial payment, and then you have to tell them when you will be able to pay the other half. Okay, I just did partial payments and didn't communicate with nobody. That's another thing. When you young and dumb and full of you just make up your own rules as you go along. But no, there's a procedure you have to follow. So I'm up here talking to the finance company and say, yeah, I made a partial payment and I was going to pay the other half next week. And I said, I didn't know that I was being repossessed. And then they told me, my account been delinquent for like the past 40 days, and it has been delinquent for the past 6. Oh, they were running this whole thing down, man. I ain't had nobody to blame but myself. Okay, so there's nothing I can say to undo this. All right, so I'm telling them, how can I be able to get I said, how can I be able to get my car back? They said, well, if you want to get your car back, you're gonna have to get it refinanced by somebody else, which is another learning thing. No one's is going to refinance with you when you got a repossession on your record. When you got repossession on your jacket, ain't no financing company is gonna touch you with a 10-foot pole. Rent-A-Center ain't gonna touch you with a 10-foot pole. Tote the note car lot ain't gonna F with you if you got a repossession. Okay, your credit score just plummets with a repossession. Okay, so food for thought. Just listen to this story because I'm dropping jewels. I hope you guys are scooping it up. Okay, so I got a repossession. They told me that I have to get a new financing company, which that's not going to happen. And then so I asked them, I said, so what about my payment? Do I even get that back? They said, well, that's part of the note anyway, because guess what? You got to pay that back anyway. Oh, yeah. When they repossess your car, it ain't like they done forgiven the car loan. All's forgiven. You start all over. No, you still got a car note to pay. All right? Man, I learned a lot of stuff through this repossession. Okay, first and foremost, if you're dealing with a financing company, let them know in advance, like, hey, I'm not gonna have the whole payment. I'm gonna have half of the payment. Like a lot of people, I feel like a lot of repossessions, they happen because people are not aware of what you have to do, what you're responsible of doing, and they just think they hating on them, or they racist, or they just don't. They just want to repossess. 9 times out of 10, a lot of finance companies, they don't want to take it to that stage, repossession, because they're not going to get all their money out of you. You're not going to get the car. You're going to say, well, F the car. You're going to go on bankruptcy. You're going to, chapter 7 or chapter 11, wherever the one is, where you be forgiven for the repossession. So the banks are not making no money. The car lots ain't making no money, and you don't have a car. Okay. So everybody lose in a repossession. Nobody gains anything from a repossession. Okay. So, yep. That's the first time I have ever gotten repoed. That was the last. Next time, I was on top of game. Like I said, I take care of my bills. I pay them. And if I'm behind on something, I let them know in advance. So, yeah, that's my story time. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the viewership. I really do appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. It's your boy, the host with the most. I do not brag or boast. I'm coming to you guys live from coast to coast. It's your boy. I'm Chris the Don One. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit the like button, no matter if you're watching it live or watch the re-air of this. I'm up out of here. I'm gone. Really do appreciate everyone coming by. Deuces.